Now that we've created our walls and our table, we're going to create a chair to go with it. I'm going to start with a polygon cube. And I'm turning off the walls and the table momentarily so that it's easy to see this tutorial as it takes place on screen. I'll hold down my space bar. I'm going to go to Create, Polygon Primitives, and I'll click on Cube. I'll click inside my interface. I'll start by randomly deciding on the thickness I want. I'm going to bring it up to the level of this chair I've already created. Now you may want to put your table on so you can get the proportions the way you want. Or afterwards you can group it and scale it as well. So I've got the height of it pretty much what I want, but it's not quite the shape I would like. So I'm going to go to my top view. And in my top view, if the cube is still selected, I can hit F and it takes me right on it. I'm holding down the Option key and use my right mouse to zoom in and out to get a little further out so I can see this other chair that I will use for my reference. You can pretty much be very subjective about the design of the chair. I'll hit R to get my scale tool, and I'll start to make this into a shape I might want. Now I tapered the back where the back legs attach here, and in order to do that I simply right-clicked on my geometry and chose Vertex at about 9 o'clock. I'll select with the marquee across the bottom edge, and I'll hit R for scale, and I'll just pull that in to taper it. And if I wanted to make it a little wider now, I could grab that edge and I could pull it out like so. I'm going to right click and I'm going to go back to object mode and I'm going to save. Now we need to start making these little legs. And I'll start by doing that in the top view. I'm going to go to Create, Polygon Primitives Cube, and I'll just click and drop a cube in there. Now I'll start to put it into position, and I'll just decide on the scale I'd like that leg to be. Now that I have the kind of thickness I want, I'll return to my perspective view, and I'm going to bring that up to where the chair seat is. Now I'm going to go to my side view, because in my side view I want that cube. I'm just going to select both of these and pull them out so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to select that newly made cube, right click and choose Vertex. And then I'm going to get the bottom edge, and with my move tool I'll pull it down to floor level. And if need be, turn on your wall's floor layer to get that distance you need. I'm going to right click and choose object mode, and then I'm going to go to the top view, and like our table, if I'm in my top view and I hit Command D to duplicate, I can drag the duplicate over to the other side. Now we're going to create the legs that rise up above the seating area for the back of the chair. So I'll hit Command D and I'll drag a copy of that down to here. Now in order to give it the height it needs to hold the back of the chair, I'm going to go to either the side or the back view. And there I'll right click and choose Vertex once again, and now I'll marquee select the top edge, hit W and drag it up to the height I might want. I'll right click and choose object mode. Now I need one more for the other side of the chair before I can put the back on. I'll go to my top view once again. I'll hit Command D to duplicate, and I'll drag one over to the other side. Now if you look at what our progress is here, we can see all we need to do is create the back. And the back of the chair was made by simply duplicating the base and putting it into position. So I'll click on the base of the chair. I'll hit Command D. Now I'm going to rotate it, and it's going to be rotated on its x-axis. I'm going to hit E on the keyboard, and as I start to drag this to the position I want, I can see in my channel window on the right, rotate X needs to be 90% or 90 degrees. Now I'll move it up into position. I'm going to go to my front view, and I'll hit R on the keyboard and I'll scale it down and move it into position. And now I'm going to go into my side view to put it against the legs in the back. And I want to make that a little thinner, so I'll hit R on the keyboard and I'll make that a little thinner, hitting W to make sure it's embedded a bit on that geometry. And I hit F on the keyboard to zoom in on that selected piece to see if that's exactly what I wanted. And that looks pretty good. When we need more than one chair, we make one, we marquee all its elements, and then I'm going to group it. I can go to Edit Group, or I can hit Command G. Now it's very important that once you make a group or edit geometry, you'll notice that if you were to hit double, the center pivot has defaulted to the middle of the viewport. And in order to get that into the center of our geometry, we need to go to Modify, Center Pivot. And now I can move that chair around, scale it, or rotate it, or all three. Now be careful when you are intending to scale, rotate, or move a group of objects. You have to make sure that you've selected all of them, and you would not marquee select them. You select one of the elements and hit the up arrow, and you'll see now the group has been selected. That allows me to scale, move, or rotate. Had I marquee selected, and then with my scale tool, it scales all the pieces individually wherever they're located. So be very careful that when you intend to move, scale, or rotate a group, you do have the entire group. You'll see that when you do have the group, there's a green bounding box on all the geometry. I have the opportunity over in the channels window to click on Group 1 and name it Chair. I'm going to bring up my table, and I'm going to make 3 of the chairs and place them around the table. So I'll turn on table, I'll turn on walls and floor. I'll go to my top view. I'll hit A on the keyboard so I see everything in my model. I'll select the base of the chair, hit the up arrow, hit W on the keyboard, move it out towards the table, hit Command D to duplicate, drag it across, hit Command D to duplicate again, drag it to the other side, and now I want to rotate it on the Y-axis 180 degrees. I'll go to the channel window and rotate Y, and I'll put in 180 degrees. I'll hit Command D and drag my 4th chair over. I'll hit 4 on the keyboard so I can see my wireframe. I'll rotate into position, and then I'll hit 5 on the keyboard, and now I can see my tables and chair.